So I have a bunch of zippers because I'm a sewist and I collect them. I also went and bought a couple for this. So there are lots of different kinds of zippers that you can find. And I got a couple of them so we could talk about them. So this is a zipper from Annie, the zipper by the yard that she's got. And then this is just a regular zipper that you can find at the store. Okay. They are not suitable for what we're doing. And there's a couple of reasons. One is because this one has an end to it. So you get down here and we got a little end. It's also really thin. So one of the things that I learned is that zipper teeth are what give it the number that it has. So like Annie zippers are 4.5 is the way that they're labeled, and the zipper pull and the teeth are what give it that number. Okay, so the zipper pull fits the teeth size. I looked and looked on the zippers that I have, and I can't find any numbers that are listed on them. So it's an interesting thing that they're different, but you can see this one, these in this order. These are narrow, these are a little bigger, these are even wider. We want something that's the wider one because we're going to use it as the front of the jacket, which is going to get a lot of wear and tear. Just a lot of use on the front of a jacket. The other thing we want to make sure, so these two are not appropriate. Okay. The other thing we want to make sure is that we're getting a separating zipper. So this will give us the option of it pulling apart at the bottom. Okay. So we can, I'm done here, and they are two. And that's what we want. The trick with getting this into the front of your jacket is really just to make sure that both sides match up. Okay. And that's the zipper that we want. There are a couple of different kinds. We have the coil separating. I have a separating fashion. That was also, and then this is the sport. Okay. So these are all a little bit different. This is also a nylon coil is what this is. These are metal teeth and these are big plastic teeth. All right. So really it just depends on what you're doing. I'm doing this one on a jacket that is a cream quilted fabric. And so I think this zipper will look really nice with it. And then I got these two to go with this jacket because I could use either one of them. So it really just depends on what look you're going for. For me, it was also which were available. They had the fuchsia one in this type and a tan one in this type, but they didn't have them vice versa. So otherwise I would have gotten, the same out of both. But also part of it is we want to figure out what color do you actually want to use. So do you want it to match with which part? It really depends on how you finish your binding. So this one is just a little chunk that I bound this morning so I could show this to you guys. It's not any part of it, but we're going to pretend this would be the front of the jacket. Okay. And this one, I sewed the binding to the front. I brought it around to the back and I hand stitched it down. This one, I stitched it to the back, brought it around to the front, and machine stitched it. So I've got stitching right along the top of this. So that's going to make a difference in how we sew this on, because this one, I'm going to want to either sew underneath this little lip and try to get under here, or I'm going to try to match the thread at the top. So one or the other. This one, when I stitch it down, I want to stitch it in the ditch right along here. And that's where I want to get my zipper sewn in. Okay. The first one I did, I just hand picked the zipper. So I just hand sewed it in because I had white on the front and a blue zipper, and I sewed it with the blue thread and I didn't want it to show. Okay. So this is an 18-inch one. And what I found was with the hip length, this worked perfectly. So we're going to talk about how to put this in. We're going to put them in one side at a time. And what I need to do, we're going to pretend this is the bottom of the jacket. Okay. And what I need to just do is decide how far up I want my zipper to start. What I notice is that most of the time, unless it's a hoodie, they start up just a little bit. So a hoodie, the zipper will start at the very bottom, but most jackets will start a little up. So we could do a half an inch, an inch. I'm going to do an inch because I like the way that looks. So what I would do is on the bottom of both of them, I would mark where 1 inch is, because that's where my zipper is going to start. And when we put these in, we're just going to separate these because it's way easier to deal with them one at a time. What I want to do is make sure that I have the right zipper on the right side. Okay. And then we're going to put this on. So what I'm going to do, flip this over, and I want this to match right there at the start. I also want my teeth to match right along the very edge. So these should be, like you should feel them together. One should not rise above the other one. And that will let it, when it comes together, that the bindings will touch. Okay. If you get it too far in, the bindings will overlap and kind of do a little pucker thing at the front. So you don't want that. So you want to make sure that they're even, or even just the tiniest bit above. Okay. So don't get them below, don't get the teeth below, because it will zip up funny that way. Okay. So this is the by Annie basting tape, which I really do love. And it is 1/8 of an inch wide. So it's nice and narrow. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up on the pin and get a hawk thumb in there. And then I'm just going to press this down. Okay. When I've sewn for a long time, and when I sewed when I was younger, I always tried to use pins, and pins will totally bulge and do terrible things to it, and it's impossible to get it flat. You can see how beautifully that sits there. And now I can just take this and go sew it. The by Annie version is thinner. It's 1/8 of an inch and it sticks really well, but that means it'll gum up your needle if you run on it too much. So just be aware of that, that if you want to use it, be prepared. You're probably going to change your needle afterward, or at least clean your needle with some alcohol, because it'll stick to it. And that's just part of it. You can also get Teflon needles, and that will help immensely to reduce the stick. All right, so this is my little 1/4 inch foot. I'm going to use that because I have a little channel down here. So what I want to do is I want to aim my needle for this little spot. So if you have a stitch in the ditch foot, this is great for that. I do not. If you have a Bernina, it's the number 10, and it is my favorite foot ever. So I'm just going to stitch right down this 1/4 inch foot will work fine because I don't have a big amount right there. Okay. And I can see my teeth poking out just a little bit, which is fine. Just going to stitch along here. So with this fabric, I'm hoping I can get close enough that you won't see the pink in the front fabric. I also have to remind myself sometimes when I'm doing this that nobody should be looking that closely, except for, you know, when I'm showing you guys. Otherwise, nobody should be looking that closely at my stitches. And sometimes I forget. And I get real persnickety about them. All right. So there we go. So you can see a little bit of the stitches coming down there. So there we go. So that's how the zipper will be. I would stick the other one in on the other side, and then I can make these go together. So one of the things that I was checking earlier when I was doing this a little bit, making sure that it would work, come on, is that there was enough room for the pull down here, and there's plenty of room between the stitching. Okay, and see there's still plenty of room here, so you can see my seam. I still have almost 1/4 of an inch hanging out here. I've got plenty here that my zipper pull isn't going to get it stuck, because I don't know if you've ever had that happen where your zipper pull is in there and then you can't get it because your stitching is too close to the teeth. So this is going to work out perfectly, because when I close this, I can see it goes about halfway over the zipper teeth. Okay, so this is going to come together really nicely. I can see my stitching is not exactly in the ditch the whole way, but maybe from there you can see. Galloping horse can't see it at all. Okay, all right, so that's the easiest way of doing it. If I were doing this for realsies, I would use a tan thread back here. So make sure that you're kind of thinking that stuff through when you're making your decisions on how you're going to do it. It's using a tan thread back here. Nobody's going to see it. Obviously, using the fuchsia on both sides makes a difference. So now we're going to do it on the real jacket. And I'm going to use the longer one. So this is the 24-inch zipper. And my coat front is not that long. So I'm going to see if I can smash this down. And I'm going to say, if I want to just start this 1 inch from the bottom, There we go. Okay, so now I could see that. Okay, and if I want to start at 1 inch from the bottom, I'm going to put this one on first. Okay, so I'm going to get the bottom of my zipper lined up with the pin that I did. And that's about where I want it to be. That should be fine. I'm just going to show you this. We're going to take it up here and hold it. And my zipper is going to come clean off the top. Okay, so we have to figure out, so a lot of times in a zipper, it's easier to cut off the bottom. When we're doing a separating zipper, we can't, like we have to have that bottom part. So we're going to have to find a way to finish this up. And there's a couple things that we can do. We can do it like we did with the patchwork bag the pattern that I just did, where we turn the zipper. We can also do it where we do some little stitching right here to stop it. And I'm going to actually do a little bit of both. So what I want to do is I want to pin this here. And I want to measure this all the way up to here. Okay. And I want it to finish just before I get to the neck. So I actually want it to finish just before the binding is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put a pin in here. And then we're going to zip up our zipper. Once it gets to here, I know where I need to make the ending on both sides now. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Okay, so now my zipper will end at the same point. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch right here and right here. So basically kind of what I want to do is a buttonhole zigzag. So it's going to be really little over that spot. So going. So it's just going to zigzag a few times here. And what that's going to do is make it so that when that zipper pull gets up there, it can't go past this. Okay, I'm going to stitch one more over here and then do a little lock stitch. All right, now I'll do the same thing. So you can see it's just a kind of a gnarl of thread right there. I left the pink in there so you can see it. So now I'm going to take this off. I've got my zipper. It's going to get up here. I'm not going to push it past it because I don't want it to get stuck in there. This is really just my point that the zipper pull isn't going to be able to come off of there. So now I got that stuck on there. I could see that the teeth are just right along that edge. When you're doing this, if you have a place where the teeth kind of fall back a little, you can absolutely adjust that, fix it, make sure it's fine. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to sew it, and I'm going to sew starting here. So I'm going to stick a pin in, make sure I know where to start. Okay, and I'm going to sew right along what I sewed before. So this is the seam line that I did when I stitched down my binding, and I'm just going to stitch right over it again. I want to change it to my zipper foot. And I want to put it on the right side so that I have the more room on that side. Okay. So that allows my zipper teeth to be kind of unbothered. All right. The biggest thing when you're doing this is to make sure that your needle is coming down in the place that you want it to. I'm actually going to up it to a 3 stitch length. Okay, so I don't know if you can't really see, but my arm is holding down the whole fabric and kind of keeping it moving through the machine. And part of that is because it wants to pull. But what I'm trying to do is, so I have to keep this on here because what this wants to do is start twisting like this as I'm sewing. And I don't want that to happen. So I have to keep my arm over here and just kind of guiding it through. Okay, so don't be afraid to, show it who's boss. And I do find that having the quilting table on is really helpful. Okay, so now I've gotten to my little zipper pull is here. So I just lift the foot and push it back. There's plenty of room. If you struggle, most machines have an extra lift here and you can use that to get past this zipper pull. Okay, I'm going to take it slow here and do a good back stitch. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it does kind of a little, almost a crunchy thing there because it's sewing through the plastic that's at the end of the zipper. Okay, I'm going to do a lock stitch. So now we've got the side with the hole on there. All right, I'm going to finish these ends at the end, but right now I'm going to sew on the other side. Okay, this is the part that we have to make sure that they are actually the same. Otherwise, when you zip up your coat, it's going to be a little wonky. Okay, so I'm putting this in. Make sure where that's going to be. Okay, so I'm going to put my pin in. And then when I put my zipper on, I'm going to make it match perfectly at that end. All right, let's do this one more time. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on there. I'm going to match it up. You see that? Yep. At the end here. And there's my mark for where I want to stop sewing. Okay, that's where I put my little zipper pull thing is, zipper stop is here. So I'm going to sew this whole thing just like I did the other one. So again, I'm leaving my zipper foot on. I'm going to do a little back stitch here because it's a little stronger than my lock stitch. I want to really secure the bottom of that zipper. Now, as we get up here, oops, this got moved. I'm going to make sure that that is where I need it to be. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do a lock stitch here because I want this to be stopped exactly on that dot. It's a little harder to control if I'm trying to do that with a back stitch. Now, if we're lucky, and I did it right, we'll have a zip front on the jacket. Fingers crossed. Here's the moment of truth. Did it work? All right, look at that. We have it. It matches up at the bottom pretty darn well. I'm happy with that. That looks great. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And then this is what it looks like from the back. So I can't really see it. If you don't like that this is, can flip up a little bit, you could go ahead and top stitch it, or you could hand pick it and stitch that down, but really it will make no difference whatsoever. All right, so let's finish these top ones. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this and I'm going to pivot it here. Okay, and then what I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to re-sew over the top of this so that I catch here and up here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to try to catch this little edge while I stitch this down again. Ooh, I caught it. Yay, so I caught that fold. That's what I was trying to do. So I'll go ahead and clip my stitches, but now I'll do this. Then I can trim this here, and then you can take a little lighter and kind of melt that edge. There we go. Okay, and get that nice and secure so it doesn't fray at all. All right, I'm gonna do it to the other side and then we will try this baby on. Now, if you were taking couture garment sewing classes, would you do it this way? Never! But we're not couture sewers. We're just trying to make a jacket we like. All right, Hawk, do you want to come help me again? Will you be my my trier honor?
Sure.
Thanks. All right, we're gonna give it a shot. Hey, here you go. I think it works, you guys. It's like a real zipper.
Ta-da!
There we go. Yay. All right. And so how's that feel with where it ends? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, me and the hood are having an argument, and the hood's gonna lose.
Oh yeah, the hood was inside out still.
Oh,
That's what was happening there.
got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So this it'll zip up to there.
Yep, and it can't go past.
So you can see that the brown one actually does like show up a little bit, but this is how it's supposed to fit. Yeah, it looks great. Okay, now unzip it and let it hang open and let's see how that does. Yeah, totally fine. Great. Now I have a new jacket. I'm really excited about it. You guys good? Did that feel like maybe you can do it now? Yeah, I think it's really nice. So make sure that when you're doing it, the big thing is to remember how long your front is. So because I made my front longer than the pattern, I ended up having to do that little zipper funniness there. Totally worked. With the regular hip length jacket, the 18-inch zipper worked perfectly. So that one is, you know, it's a done deal for that. But you can buy the zippers in all the different lengths. You could do it on a full length jacket as well. On a full length jacket. So if you did it so that it was, you know, the kind that comes down like, you know, mid-thigh-ish, I would do that. So it was I would probably do it 4 inches up from the bottom on that one. You wouldn't want it to go solid all the way to the bottom. It would be better if the zipper started up above. So what you would want to do is measure your coat, the length of the zipper that you need, see if it's one that there's available, because there's like 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. So you could find a zipper possibly that would work with that. You could also manipulate the length of your jacket to fit the zipper. So you could manipulate your zipper, manipulate your jacket, whichever way you want to do it. Happy sewing.